What a head, son! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'm going to take you guys through the ultimate guide to Game Week 12. This might be a little bit of a shorter video just because over this international break, nothing much has happened, and generally the talking points are the same that we had with Game Week 11 in terms of Son, Kane, who to kind of go for. But in this specific ultimate guide, I'll be taking you guys firstly through my watch list, the 3 players that I currently have my eyes on. Then we're going to move on to Son versus Kane. Has the kind of talking point changed from last game week, and are we currently looking at either one or neither of them? We're then going to wrap up the video like we usually do with these ultimate guides, focusing on captaincy, first giving you guys my recommendations, and then lastly giving you the fantasy football fix predicted top 3 scorers for the upcoming Game Week 12. Make sure you guys are in the deadline stream to get the most up-to-date team selection as well as team news coming up on Saturday morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you guys are around the world, and hopefully I'll see you there. But for now, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into the video. So going over my first of the 3 watchlist players, I'm going to be talking about Wang from Wolves. So Wang comes off a fairly successful international break with South Korea. I think he scored a goal and also got an assist in 2 games there. But in terms of Wolves at the moment, not really doing that well attacking wise, but Wang still is getting some returns for his price point. So the 2 fixtures that I'm heavily targeting is going to be next week, Game Week 13 and Game Week 14, where they face Norwich away and then Burnley at home. After that, the fixtures are literally the worst as possible. We have Liverpool at home, Man City, Brighton, and then also Chelsea. So definitely wouldn't be recommending Wang after Game Week of 14, but for those 2 games, I think at 5.8 million, perfectly justifiable at that price point, as he just comes in quite a lot cheaper than these other forward options. So for my own personal team, I'm thinking of downgrading Adam Armstrong to Wang next week, only by 0.1 for the downgrade. And in terms of the projected points from fantasyfootballfix.com, he's projected to score 19.6 points up till Game Week 18. So not that great there, but I think they're also kind of taking his expected minutes into account, and Wang hasn't really started that many games in prior seasons, so maybe that's why the algorithm isn't projecting him to do that well. This transfer will be in no ways kind of covering Raul Jimenez. If you guys can afford both of the Wolves forwards, I definitely would recommend the Mexican international to the South Korean, just because he's more of a talisman, and on certain things like penalties, Raul Jimenez isn't going to be moved off those. But Wang at that price point, 5.8 million, as I mentioned, pretty good value for money I think, and he looks quite nailed in that Wolves starting 11. The next option to talk about has gone slightly under the radar in terms of transfers in. I think that's just because he hasn't been performing that well in his last couple of games, but his ownership in the higher ranks, we saw in the top 1000 team selection or the top 1000 template, Phil Foden is quite prevalent in that, and at 8.3 million had a couple of price rises since the price at the start of the season, and I think it just shows you that he does have that form in his bracket, and starting at that false 9 for Man City, or actually just the 9 position as almost that sole striker over these past couple game weeks. Although he hasn't got the points, I think these next games should prove why he's such FPL gold when he does play. I mean, just look at those Man City fixtures coming up. Unfortunately, from game week 12 to 14, don't look that great, but when you kind of look a little bit closer, Everton at home, great fixture on paper. West Ham's probably the only tough one coming up. I mean, Aston Villa, Watford, Wolves, Leeds, and then also Newcastle look simply outstanding, and I would recommend Foden if you guys want to get a Man City attacker in. As I mentioned, going a little bit under the radar at the moment because of these kind of performances of the last couple of game weeks. But I mean, once he gets that haul coming up soon, I think he's going to be kind of on a bandwagon. So you guys want to jump on, and that's my personal opinion. I want to jump on Foden before he gets too hot. In terms of projected points, a very healthy projected points there, 32 on the dot for Phil Foden. And with these Man City players, if they're going to be playing 90 minutes every single game week, their projected points will be off the charts just because Man City from an attacking point of view are such a strong side. And when they face these weaker teams, they usually are quite bullies. I am actually really jealous of you guys if you do own Foden. Just simply keep him. I think he's a great option coming up as long as he continues to play at that 9 position for Pep Guardiola. And the final play to talk about is going to be Diogo Jota, and we had a massive kind of news update from Jurgen Klopp in the press conference on Thursday, which is when I'm recording this video. So the news was actually dropped a little bit before this. So I was really happy that I managed to get those quotes from Klopp. But what he said about Roberto Firmino, obviously Firmino's fitness is going to be a kind of integral to Jota, because if Firmino's out, Jota's 100% going to be in the starting 11 for most game weeks. Even when Firmino is fit, Jota does still get a healthy amount of minutes, but obviously you guys know if his main competition competition is going to be out. That's going to prove quite fruitful in terms of FPL. But what Klopp said about Firmino when asked about the Brazilian internationals kind of fitness, he said that Firmino won't be fit for this weekend, but he might be fit for the upcoming game weeks. And what I wanted to kind of touch on there is kind of Klopp saying that he's not going to be fit for this game week or ready for this game week. And what that kind of tells me, and that it insinuates that Roberto Firmino won't be missing that many game weeks to come. Because why would Klopp talk about that he potentially would be back for this weekend, but he's not, when he was rumored to be out till the middle of December? So I mean, that's something that I'm just kind of looking at, and that might put me off Jota slightly, just because he might not be as nailed as possible. But in terms of Jota, as I mentioned, even when Firmino is back or back to full fitness, Jota was still kind of playing, getting in the starting 11, and when Jota comes off the bench, he usually is quite a good option in terms of FPL. In terms of the Liverpool fixtures, I think they're one of those more fixture-proof teams. I mean, we saw that with Mo Salah against teams like United, scoring a hat-trick and getting about 24 points, if I do recall. So the XG for Liverpool is really outstanding at the moment. So as I mentioned, we're not really a fixture team at the moment, kind of a fixture-proof team. And I think that's the same for Jota. So don't you have to look at the fixtures? Does help if they are playing some easier teams. But in terms of the projected points, 37.8 points projected over these next couple game weeks. But obviously, this is kind of with Roberto Firmino being out. So what the algorithm, the Fantasy Football Fix algorithm, has his expected minutes quite high because of Firmino being out for the next couple games. But Jota's still a great option to go for, and I just wish he was a little bit more nailed at 7.5. Just absolute FPL gold at that price point. You're getting a forward for Liverpool for such a cheap price. But if you guys did bring Jota in this week, I wouldn't be too unhappy with these hamstring injuries that Roberto Firmino did have. There are some setbacks that could happen in training, so just kind of basically keep Jota until Firmino's back, and then you could always change him to someone like a Phil Foden. But now going on to probably the main talking point of this video, and maybe the reason why you guys clicked on it, it's going to be Kane versus Son, who to kind of bring in. And unfortunately, there's no definite answer for you guys. It's not like Kane is considerably outperforming Son in terms of the stats. I mean, that might give you guys some indication there that Son is cheaper. So maybe because the stats are looking quite similar, you almost automatically go for the out of position, cheaper option, which would be Heung-min Son. But I don't think it's as cut and dry as that. And I think both or either of these two options could be quite integral to that Spurs lineup, at least for the next couple game weeks. That's what I want to kind of highlight here, is that I think you're targeting the next 4 game weeks. They face Brighton in game week 16, but I think you guys will move either of these two options, one for Bruno Fernandes or for Cristiano Ronaldo, with that lovely Man United fixture swing in game week 16 onwards. So that's why the next 4 fixtures are going to be quite good for them. I mean, just look at those on paper. Leeds, Burnley, Brentford and Norwich, absolutely splendid. But I think for me, my own personal team, I might be waiting one more game week to make this move. I could either upgrade Jamie Vardy to Harry Kane, or maybe use some funds to upgrade Havertz to Son. I'm in a similar situation with both those two players, and I think that's where it comes to being a little bit more situational. I would recommend that you guys look at your own FPL teams and see what the easiest kind of player to bring in would be. Try and look at maybe the player that takes the least hits. But if you guys do think Son or Kane is the better option, I would 100% go for that. But if there's not too much between it, a little bit of a 50-50, I would just look at your own team, get the player that takes the least effort to bring in, and I would probably run with that one. But as I said, for my own personal team, probably going to give it one more game week. Leeds have also been defending quite well, although this game could be quite open, which would probably suit Spurs. I think that I might just wait and see what Conte does in the next week leading up to game week 13. In terms of the expected points from game week 12 to 16, I went over to fantasyfootballfix.com yet again, and I got the expected points for those game weeks, and you can see that Kane just slightly edges it here in terms of Son, but in terms of the price difference between these two, I think it makes the difference in terms of expected points slightly closer. Let me know in the comments down below, do you guys already have Kane, Son, are you doubling up, or if you are going to be transferring one in for game week 12, is it going to be the South Korean, or is it going to be the English forward? Another final talking point to go over is going to relate around captaincy, and I think game week 12 is actually a really good game week for captaincy if you guys want to go slightly differential. So we have Mo Salah, who will 100% be the most captain player. I'm expecting his effective ownership in the top 10k to be around that 190% like it was in game week 11, but there might be some variance here, might be some differential options that you guys can go for. In terms of my own personal opinion, I don't think if you guys are at a rank that you're happy with, you should go anywhere not near Mo Salah. I think you should go for Mo Salah definitely, at least for the next couple game weeks, because Arsenal home historically has actually been quite a good fixture for Liverpool, and I think at Anfield, Mo Salah, this is a great kind of style that he's going to be suited for, and I think that's why I'm not going to overthink it, and I'm going for the Egyptian. But if you guys are a little bit unhappy with your rank, want to go differential, my first recommendation would be Cristiano Ronaldo against a Watford side that have been struggling defensively. And United are going to be looking to bounce back from this run of bad results they've had. And I think that Ronaldo is going to look back to get on the scoring bandwagon. And I think against Watford, that could come about. So I'm not really too keen about playing Ben Foster this week against a CR7, but I kind of have to because Sanchez has that red card. But I am expecting a United and Ronaldo to do quite well, and that's why I think if you guys want to go differential, the perfect option to go for is going to be CR7. The next option that you guys can also look at is going to be De Bruyne or any Man City midfielder that you guys have. Just kind of highlighting De Bruyne here, but as I usually say, just because I have highlighted De Bruyne doesn't mean that you guys can't captain Phil Foden, or maybe even a Cancelo if you guys want to go super maverick. Everton have been struggling defensively and also from an attacking point of view, so that's why De Bruyne looks like quite an appealing option, getting that extra clean sheet point and the extra point per goal, kind of differentiating him from those forwards. For some reason, I just can see Man City scoring a couple against Everton, and that's why I think that De Bruyne could be an equally as good an option as these other two. But now going on to the projected points from Fantasy Football Fix, and these are the definite top 3 performers in terms of projected points for Game Week 12. So first off, we've got Mo Salah here yet again with a massive 7.2 projected points for the upcoming Game Week 12. So yet again, you can see that the algorithm is predicting Mo Salah to be the best option to go for in terms of captaincy. But next up, we do have a CR7 with a nice 6.2, followed by De Bruyne with 5.5. So you can see that Ronaldo is considered a better option than De Bruyne, but that just depends on which Everton side pitches up, as I reckon the algorithm rates Everton quite strongly from a defensive point of view. Also in the comments down below, let me know who you guys are captaining. Are you going safe, Mo Salah yet again, or are you guys going a little bit maverick differential with one of a Ronaldo or a Man City midfielder? But this is basically wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like it if you did, and subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. If you guys didn't check out the team selection yesterday, go check that video out, as well as the other videos that I did release over this international break. Otherwise, hopefully see you guys in the deadline stream. I'm probably going to be about an hour before the deadline does commence. So hopefully you check you guys there, but I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.